What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Part-Time Watchers podcast with Keith and Lorcan, talking about everything in the world of pop culture, movie news, TV shows, video games, comic books, you name it, and we might just talk about it part-time.
You're starting to nail that now. Like, I'm getting more and more impressed as the weeks go on. Like, I just remember when we first started the podcast, it was such a mission as well. But it just seems like it's just nailed down now. It's almost as if you recorded this and copied and pasted in every single week from this point forward.
That's exactly what it is. And the only difference is I just speed up or slow down a little bit at different sections with the copy and paste part goes in.
Yeah, just to prove to those haters out there that it's definitely you and you can do it any day of the week.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's such a hard thing to just say the same line every week, week after week. But to be fair, like when we done the first couple of podcasts, like the intro used to take us ages to get right.
It was arguably like the longest part of the podcast is like, right, I'll get it right. It's like what's the line again? Shit, what's this? Yeah. But no, nailing it. Like I get more and more impressed each week.
Nice. But you remember, we don't put any, like in our first couple of episodes, for any of the OG listeners from back then, we used to have like the bloopers at the end of an episode.
Oh yeah.
Like we don't even have that anymore because we don't have bloopers anymore.
Yeah, we just nail it.
Do, but not as many.
I think the part-time nature has just kicked in where I'm just like, I don't think we need to make that edit. I don't think we need to hear that one too. Yeah. It's definitely not that bad unless, I go on one of my big rants, the ones that no one knows about. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, those parts are all, it's pretty obvious because I'll know what's happening, so I'll just note it down and be like, I'm just going to cut all of this out.
it's just a hard cut and you're like, oof, probably can't say that one, boy.
Yeah. There have definitely been a few things we said on there that were like, oh, that definitely can't make the final cut.
Yeah, that Last of Us review was actually 4 times longer last week.
Yeah. And it got very dark in certain parts.
No, I like that game. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. Totally fine.
Awesome. Well, today we have a few things we're going to be talking about, a few bits of movie news and TV shows. We got a couple of cool trailers. There is a new movie that's out on Netflix called The Old Guard. That's actually a comic book movie, and neither of us have watched it, so we're not going to be talking about that. That's what literally every other podcast or channel that we follow is all like doing reviews on The Old Guard, and I'm like, yeah, we're not the kind of channel that can do things unless it's like really popular that we're going to watch straight away.
Totally.
We're just too lazy to get on it straight away. So we'll get a review out soon on The Old Guard. But quite yet.
Potentially. I think we might put out one for Assassin Nun first. I think that's the one that I'm definitely more attracted to. Yeah, the Nun Assassin.
Wait, you're attracted to nun assassins? That's
totally.
It's a weird fetish you got going on.
It's totally niche. Like, I just need to corner that market. There's only me and about 4 other people there who are into nurse assassins. Maybe those 2 as well.
That's what you're actually into now. You just give away your actual fetish on here.
None and nurse assassins. But only those 2 and none others.
And I see what you did there, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
None others? You didn't even say yourself.
I did! Totally. I'm clever like that. You know my wordplay. I'm like Eminem. Anyway, get me off this train, Keith. Get me off it.
Anyway, yeah. So we get into some of the TV news first, and then obviously a new Batman announced TV show is going to be kind of one of the main topics we'll get into later on the show. But before we get there, we love shows where people get their heads squished up against walls and explode and gory violence and all that kind of crazy stuff. And The Boys season 2 just dropped its trailer, and it is exactly that.
Yeah, it looks great. Right. So I was trying to remember how how the last season ends. I don't want to spoil it too much, but there's a part where one of our main protagonists and Homelander are in a situation at the end, and it very much ends in a bit of a cliffhanger, which is great. But then through this trailer, I just assumed because of the position he was in at the end, that character is gone to some degree. Like I don't understand how to make it back from it, but like certainly something happens anyway, and that character is back in it, and it's very interesting to see potentially what happens there because Homelander being basically Superman. Like I don't understand how someone can get out of their grasp from that level or whatever. Like again, I really don't want to talk spoilers about it because it's probably the very, very end of the last season, the last season if anyone wants to go back. But certainly this trailer looks fantastic. Like I forgot how much I liked this show and like the energy of it until I saw the trailer, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this show is really hardcore. Like really hardcore. I don't know how
Yeah,
you felt about it.
this trailer, it looks like the first season on drugs, though. Like
Yeah.
this has definitely ramped up the gore and everything. Maybe not even like in terms of what it's going to be in the season, but in terms of what they've shown in the trailer, like there's way
Mm.
more gore and everything in this trailer than there would
Yeah.
have been in the. It's almost like they done season one, and they're like, okay, people like it, and we're allowed to do it. So now they're just like, here's it all. Here's
Yeah.
all the exploding heads and squishing bodies and blowing people up.
Yeah, and like season
And
one was gory as well. Like, but it does seem like this season is definitely kicked up a gear. Like, even in the trailer alone, there's a head being squished, there's a head being decapitated, kind of walking around. There's, it is hardcore as well. But like, I love how nuts and balls to the wall crazy it is. So like, yeah, again, like this is one of those shows that I didn't think I'd like last year. I think I was chatting to yourself and I got onto it and loved it. And then I think I forgot how much I liked it because as soon as I saw the trailer for this, I got really hyped again. It's like I forgot this was one of my favorite shows of last year. So I'm really ridiculously hyped for this now. Actually, I think this is going to
yeah,
be a great season.
Yeah, absolutely. This was definitely one of my favorite shows last year.
Mm,
And we posted about this and the trailer that we're going to talk about now in a second. And like people all seem to
mm,
be on the same train in terms of like loving both these shows. So
yeah.
yeah, I can't wait to see it. And even one of the cool things in this one, I mean, I guess it's not. There's a new member of the Seven, which you kind of see in the trailer, which looks cool. Like
Hmm.
Homelander now. I mean, again, like slight spoilers. If you haven't seen season one, I want to see it
Yeah.
without a trailer or without spoiling or whatever. But in this, we kind of see Homelander. It looks like he's kind of training his son,
Yeah.
where basically
Or
just like
pushing him off
throwing
a
him off a
house.
roof, just throwing him off the roof of a house. Yeah. Like imagine being a
Oh.
kid with superpowers and Homelander's the guy training you. Like
Oh.
he's just gonna destroy this poor kid for the next couple of episodes.
Yeah, like I can see this getting like that whole situation of that kind of idealized, son of Superman kind of thing. I just see that getting turned massively on its head. Like I can see this kid. Like the thing is, I actually haven't read the comics, so I don't really know the direction they're going to go with the kid in this
Mm,
as well. But I feel like the way it'll be foreshadowed is the kid is going to be a good version, but then again doubles down and might become a bad person again because of this. But like like I think that dynamic about Homelander, just this absolute sociopath, no, just psychopath actually as well, being
yeah.
like a father and having these ideals. Like there's a clip in the trailer as well where it shows him drinking the breast milk as well, and it's
So
just
uncomfortable.
he's so unhinged, it's insane. So like I actually can't wait for the dynamic between the father and the son and how that's going to play out, and just how that unhinged absolute psychopath is going to act as like a loving father, I suppose, will be super interesting. So like
Yeah.
again, hyped in all aspects of this. And then I get a cameo from my favorite character of last year as well, the Deep. And I really hope they triple down and make his life even worse again. Because his fall from grace from the first episode to the final episode in the first season is just hilarious. Like because they do set him up in the first episode as just being this awful human being, and then he
Yeah.
gets his comeuppance and more so, like to the end where you kind of feel a little sorry for him because it's such a fall from grace. But like I
Mm,
think it's quite funny, like the Aquaman character gets that sort of arc, and I kind of hope they triple down on it because I think one of the big plot points for the first season, it's not really spoiler heavy because it's not really a story, but when he falls in love with the dolphin,
yeah. Yeah.
he
Yeah.
tries to save it and then it ends up dying and getting run over.
Uh,
I kind of hope there's like another aspect of that as well that kind of continues forward. But yeah, like this is going to be great. Like I really have high hopes. Like sometimes the first season peaks and the second season isn't good enough, but I do think the source material and this is strong and all the actors chosen are so strong. So like I can see this even getting better reviews probably than the first season. So fingers
yeah.
crossed. We'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. And then on top of the Boys season two, one of the big shows last year also was Umbrella Academy, which personally for me I wasn't a huge fan of, but I know you were a big fan of.
I loved it. Yeah.
So we got the season two trailer, and to be honest, now after seeing this season two trailer, I kind of want to go back and watch. I think I'm going to just go back and watch like the last two episodes because I'm pretty sure what I
Yeah.
done at Umbrella Academy was watch like the first four or five, and
Hmm.
just didn't hook me, and I never got back to it. So what I might do is just watch the ending and then
Hmm.
go into season two. But this trailer like looks great. It looks really good.
Yeah, like again, this is another one where I kind of didn't think I'd like it, went in, watched it, and loved it. I understand where you're coming from. I can see where people wouldn't like it because I do think some characters aren't as strong as others. Like I think Klaus is such a strong character. I think
Mm.
oh god, I forget half their names as well. But the dynamic between Klaus and Ben, I think, is really good. I think the time traveling kid, what's his name, Seven or something like that, or Ten, or
Yeah, yeah,
he's a great character as well. But some of the other ones, the girl with the rumor, I thought her story thing could have been stronger than what it was. I thought that the weird monkey family aspect of it as well was a little probably too strange and didn't kind of gel well with some of them. And then yeah, kind of the main character, the white violin, or God, I'm butchering all these names as well, but they're like I thought parts of that were a little bit boring as well. But as a whole, if you look at it, the high points of the season were fantastic. But it kind of happened that some episodes were quite boring, and then something amazing and bombastic would happen, and it kind of make up for it. So like it was definitely like, I suppose if we're directly comparing like the boys and the Umbrella Academy, the boys was definitely better for me because it was more. I suppose it was paced better, and the
yeah,
Umbrella Academy probably wasn't paced as well as it could have been. Like super strong characters mixed with maybe not so strong characters, or maybe people just didn't get the limelight they should have got. But certainly the second season looks more interesting as well, where they're sent back in time. The end of the world kind of follows them back, and they have to kind of stop the assassination of JFK, which is
yeah.
super interesting as well. But it seems that, well, what they're setting up in the trailer is that potentially the rest of the guys, when they went back in time, probably landed there maybe 5 or 10 years before Seven, I think his name is, or Five, the time traveling kid, where they all have
Yeah.
their lives already back in the past as well. And you can see like Klaus is now a cult leader basically as well.
His line in the trailer is the funniest line, where the kid comes back and is like, "Okay, so the world's gonna end again in like I don't know what he said, in like a day or 24 hours or whatever."
Mhm.
And Klaus is just like, "Oh, my cult is gonna be so pissed. I told them we had until 2019." And it just like he's exactly the character you can picture
Yeah,
going back in time and being like, "Oh well, I know the world is gonna end in 2019, so I'm gonna just start a cult where they all love me for the next 20
yeah,
years." Like it's exactly what he would do, and he just has the whole like
yeah.
cult and Jesus Christ look going on with himself as well. Like it's so funny. So it does
Yeah,
look really good.
it looks really good, but there's also like, I like Klaus is always like, I love Robert Sheehan. I think as an actor, I think he's really good. I think if you get him in a good role like a Klaus, or if anyone's seen Misfits or Love Hate as well, like if he's cast well, he's an amazing character as well in shows. But yeah, it seems like there's other fun dynamics, or other really, I suppose, like the way the family is broken up and the paths to take could be really good. And I hope it's not just a one episode at the very start that shows where they're all at and then they team together. I kind of hope they dive into each of their individual stories about what they've done when they went back in the past as well, because you can see Luther obviously now has kind of gotten over the whole body image and the way his kind of body looks, and he's now like a prize fighter in like some sort of like
Yeah,
underground fighting scene as well. And it seems like Diego went to jail or something along those lines for being some sort of assassin, because his whole thing is to throw in the knives and everything like that. So it seems like he's definitely looking a little bit different as well. And then Allison, who's the rumor, the one who it's like I heard a rumor type of thing as well. It seems like she's embroiled in the whole kind of civil war, or the civil rights activism
mm,
part as well, and there could be a really unique story running along there. So it seems like they're all touching on different points of like different parts of history. So it could be really good if they all kind of look at where they are currently, and then they meet up, and then they kind of stop the assassination. But it seems like the agency is still following Five as well, because there's those characters who are in the kind of like the all white kind of milkman outfits who are kind of tracking them down. So it's definitely yeah, it's definitely interesting. I feel like I might have to go back and rewatch a summary of season one, because I vaguely
figure out what was
remember,
going on. Yeah,
yeah, I vaguely remember Five like blowing up the time travel agencies or something along those lines, so they couldn't follow him. But it might be a splinter cell of that crew that are going after them or something. But I think I do need a bit of a refresher, because the more I look back, the more nuanced the whole thing was towards the end. But
mm,
yeah, listen, there's no getting away from it. I think this season's going to be great. I think it's going strength to strength. It done, I think, decent numbers anyway. In their launch last year as well, or when the show launched last year as well. So I kind of hope it gets like a third season as well, because as far as I'm aware, this only covers like the whole JFK angle of it as well. It's still very much the first book, I think, isn't it,
okay.
or the first
I've
book and a
never read it
half?
myself either.
And I think there's 3 books as well. So yeah, like I do think there's a lot more to come. So I kind of hope they get like a full big run at this. So hopefully the second season is as good as probably what the boys will be. So yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool.
And then The Boys. So The Boys season 2 is coming out in September, which is very close. And
Hmm.
Umbrella Academy is actually coming out at the end of this month. So season 2 is on July 31st. So very
Nice.
close.
Hmm.
Um, but then moving on to movie news and horror movie news in particular, which we were just segueing from.
Yeah.
You enjoyed the Halloween remake, didn't you? You actually watched it, or did you
I
not?
no, I didn't. I still haven't watched it.
You still didn't watch it.
Yeah, I actually, do you know what? I don't know why I haven't watched it either. Because again, I like Halloween. I've
It's
seen
not
I've
spooky
seen a
ghosts,
lot of
yeah.
them. Yeah, yeah. I actually don't know why I haven't seen this because I heard you talking about it before. I'm pretty sure I have. Do you know what? I'm gonna
So
watch it
good.
tonight. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
Do
Yeah, I
do watch it
will.
tonight and let me know how you
Yeah,
get on.
yeah. I think it's.
It's very good. They done a great job with it, and Danny
Yeah,
McBride was behind it as well. And you like Danny McBride,
I
so
like Danny McBride.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously after that Halloween film, that was 2018, I think. I feel like it was
Yeah,
2018, maybe.
about that.
Yeah, because the sequel is meant to come out this year, so I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
2018. And obviously they had planned a trilogy now, so it was going to be Halloween Kills was going to come out this October, and
Mm-hmm.
Halloween Ends was going to come out October 2021.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously due to COVID and every single movie in the universe is getting pushed, so
Mm-hmm.
what they've decided to do now is they've pushed the two movies by a year. So Halloween Kills is not going to be coming out until October of 2021, and then Halloween Ends will be out in October 2022. But to release this, or to I guess announce the news, they released like a little teaser
Mm-hmm.
of Halloween Kills. And I guess spoiler if you haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
the 2018 Halloween, which is basically Halloween 2, the way they kind of sequeled it from the original.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen that movie, kind of spoilers for the next couple of seconds. But the way that movie ends is Laurie. Well, you haven't seen it, have you?
No, but I kind of know what happens. I feel like me and you talked about it before, so I do know what
Yeah.
happens at the
Do you
end.
know what happens at the
Yeah,
end?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, yeah. So at the end of it,
yeah.
it's basically the Laurie and her daughter and her granddaughter have essentially trapped him in a basement.
Hmm.
Like they've essentially trapped Michael Myers in a house, essentially. And their whole plan was that like they'll trap him, they'll set the house on fire, and the movie ends with them in like the back of a jeep or the back of a truck driving off from like this
Hmm.
house that's on fire, kind of like finally being saved, covered in blood, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then this teaser basically takes it. This teaser basically starts exactly there where they're like getting close to a town. They're still in the back of the van or whatever, the back of the jeep, and all of a sudden fire engines and fire trucks and police cars and stuff start
Hmm.
heading out towards the house. And the whole teaser is just Laurie Strode just shouting like, "No, no, let him burn!" Blah blah blah. Let him burn. He's a bad guy. Whatever. So she's kind of screaming at them to do that because that's one of the things at the end of the movie when they were like, "Oh, it's getting a sequel." We were all like,
Mm.
"Well, okay, so what's how does he like? He's not a super. We know like you've never set him up in this universe to be like a
Yeah.
supernatural type guy. He's just an unstoppable guy, but he's still a guy. So how is he supposed to survive this? So I guess that's how they're going to play it. That
Mm.
like they
Isn't
get there in
there a
time.
yeah, but isn't there a theory as well that it's a different guy or something along those lines? Like every film, it's a
Not
different guy almost.
not in the way that this movie is set up. He's definitely
Yeah.
not because this movie
Okay.
just forgot about all the other ones and just
Fair
sequeled the
enough.
very first Halloween movie.
Okay.
So it's definitely the same guy because he's aged, he's been in prison for years, all that kind of
It
stuff.
would definitely be interesting if they got there and they saved him in the end. So, the start of the film is basically maybe the fallout with like Laurie having to explain why she killed her son, almost, you know what I mean, or tried to kill her son or something along those lines, even though he is a convicted criminal. And
Well,
he's
no, no, no.
no,
He's not her. He's not related to
I
her or
thought he was her
anything.
son, was he not?
That no, he was apparently her brother in like
Oh,
the sequels, but
that's
even
yeah,
in this film, like in Halloween from 2018,
yeah.
they had people being like, "Oh, you've heard the rumors that he's her brother." Like that's not true. None of that's true. So they basically just
Ah,
whitelist. They just like forgot about all of that.
yeah,
They didn't
okay,
just
fair
like
enough.
reboot the whole. Like they just sequeled the very first movie and forgot about all the
Fair enough.
extra weird shit they had. But yeah, so at least now we know roughly. Like I'm assuming like the fire trucks will get there and he's either gone already or they'll save him and then there'll be some kind of plot around it. But
Ooh.
um, I'm really like it's the same creative team that are behind it, and I'm pretty disappointed to be honest that it was pushed because I was assuming like by the time we get to
Yeah.
October, surely they would have got a shot and everything. But I guess just with like they probably haven't got
Hmm.
half the movie shot and they don't want to just push it out and then not make the money that they could have made. So it's
Yeah.
probably like business wise, it's a good idea for them to push it. It's just a shame because I was really looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
But sure, look,
And
we'll
it's
wait another year. It'll
and
be
it's
fine.
well, it's over a year as well. It'll be a year and a couple of months as well, which is even
Mm,
more of a sickener. But
yeah,
yeah, you're totally right. Like it's a smarter call to do it like this, I think.
yeah. And plus more Michael Myers. Let's just get him. I can't wait to see it again because the reboot one was great. Anyway, moving on to a bit of MCU news. So the MCU has been
Yes.
very quiet in terms
Yeah.
of news as of late, probably because DC have been dropping random ass rumors every second day. So
Yeah.
the MCU is like, we're just gonna sit this one out until we know exactly what we're doing and let you guys talk crap for the next couple of months.
hmm
Um,
Has this been the
but
longest period of time now that we haven't had an MCU film since like 2008 or something? It kind of has to be, I feel like, because the
in a
last
while,
MCU
anyway, yeah.
film we've had is probably almost nearly a year ago. Is it? Is it Spider-Man? Spider-Man Far From
Would have
Home?
been Spider Man, yeah. Last like what August that was,
Oh God,
yeah,
yeah, it would have been around August, yeah, or even before then, probably like July or something along those lines. Because it wasn't long after when Endgame came out, which was at the end of April. So it could have been
yeah,
like over a year at this stage. It seems so long since we got an MCU film. So it's so
yeah.
strange.
Yeah, it
It's
is. It's just
yeah,
become a way of life that you have an MCU film every couple of
totally.
months.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only bit of news that we have had, so obviously with Black Widow was meant to come out in May and then it was pushed to August and now
hmm
it's I think September, maybe August still, somewhere around there.
hmm
But it's coming out this year at some stage. But we obviously a lot of people were talking about it when the Black Widow film was announced because obviously spoilers again if you haven't seen it, but you surely have that Black Widow doesn't make it through Endgame.
Oof.
So we were like, oh well, so are they going to do a sequel or is it going to be like a prequel thing? And now we know that they're going back through in kind of a prequel story set between Civil War and Endgame,
hmm
but we're kind of introduced to her, like I guess the Russian family that she would have grown up with, and the guys that were in that program with her.
hmm
Um, but in it, we have Florence Pugh character who is meant to be like a not blood sister, but like apparently her sister.
Yeah.
I guess in the story. Um,
Yeah, I reckon she's probably from the same like academy, I suppose, as well, or where they got trained to
yeah,
be Black Widows. I'd say like adopted sister in that respect.
Yeah.
hmm
And the director of Black Widow, Kate Shortland, has come out
hmm
to say that this movie is basically like a handing of the baton from Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow character to Florence Pugh, in the
yeah.
hope that like it will set up a new female centric story going forward.
hmm
Um, and obviously, like we know for a fact we're not getting any more Black Widow going forward. So the fact that now we are getting another Black Widow type character in Florence Pugh, and Florence Pugh is an absolute
hmm
badass, and she's been just great in some of the stuff she's been in recently. So I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing her in this story. But yeah, if they're gonna like have kind of like we said a handing of the baton to her,
hmm
and then I'm assuming she will have to have been disappeared in the blip because where would she have been
Oh, good
during
call.
Endgame and stuff? So she
Yeah,
will have to have been snapped, and then she'll come back afterwards. And I'm assuming if they do follow up this story, it'll be a case of Florence Pugh being like, "Oh, where's
Natalia.
Natasha? Where's
Mm.
Natasha?" And Natasha's gone. Then she kind of takes on I get the role from her. I'm assuming.
That'd
But yeah,
be
I
really good. Like, and I wonder, like, again, this is all pure speculation as well, but because, Black Widow is so much tied into like the Captain America kind of lore and,
mm,
especially since Civil War, or since, Winter Soldier as well. I wonder if the Falcon Winter Soldier show will almost incorporate some part of that maybe as well, where
oh
Florence might
yeah,
feature in some regard. I think this is
mm,
great. Like, I think obviously, like a lot of people, it was still good that Black Widow got her kind of end as well. But it kind of sucks that the kind of movie that comes out of better is after she's dead with no kind of real push to like do anything moving
yeah,
forward as well. But it is good that like they're kind of, I suppose, building it up and they have a really good person to pass the torch to. Like I think Florence Pugh is amazing. So I think if you're going to
mm,
replace Scarlett Johansson with anyone, I think she's a really good call for it. I kind of hope they don't do a direct thing where she goes in directly under the mantle as Black Widow. I do hope they have a version of a Black Widow for her as well. Like I don't know if there's any examples in a comic of another character that's like a Black Widow without like calling her Black Widow almost. I
yeah,
would like her to be sure she's the Black Widow for the team, but she's not like, hey, I'm new Black Widow, I'm Black Widow 2 or something like that. I do hope she
yeah,
has like she's in the team. She's clearly a spiritual successor to Black Widow, but she's not Black Widow. Like there is different nuances there. So I kind of hope that's the direction to go. And like obviously we haven't seen the film yet, but I like again, it's kind of like it's a Marvel film. Like it's gonna be good just to some degree, and I think she is gonna be set up to succeed moving forward. So like
mm,
I'm looking forward to seeing how they go with this, and I think Florence Pugh is a really good one. I think it'd be a big opportunity missed if they didn't try and continue on her as a character as well. Because I think as we move forward with these MCU films as well, we're kind of moving away from the ground level heroes, and
mm,
a few of them are gone now as well. And I think she's a good example of one that you should keep. So
yeah.
yeah, like I hope they go down that direction. And I'm sure they are. Like, they definitely wouldn't have let something like this slip, or talked about it in this sort of way if they didn't have plans to kind of move forward with her, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Class. Awesome. So looking forward to that, whatever they decide to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, before we move into the main topic of the day that we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
I want to take you down to Rumour Town, Lorcan.
Oh yeah.
So
We're gonna take the bus, or because I'm gonna have to wear my mask, and like I could get the bike into Rumour Town as well, but everyone kind of spreads rumors about you when you get there as well, and they might be like, oh, his bike. I don't know. I've gone down a rabbit hole here, and I don't know how to finish it.
You had the
This
start
is
of a
what
great thing, and then
in
you
Rumour
just
Town.
yeah, you had the start of something great, and then you just kind of bottled it a little bit.
A little bit. I was kind of hoping like the magic would come to me as I kept on talking, but it wasn't. I'm just like, is there something to do with rumors, rumor mill? I was like, oh, are we going to go to the mill in the Rumour Town? That actually would have been funnier than what I did say. I should have just said that. Hey, cut it out. Oh, so we're going to end Rumour Town. We're going to go to Rumour Mill. We're going to go to Mill Rumor. Or are we
What's
going
funny
to?
about Rumour Mill?
Because it's the Rumour Mill, and then like an actual mill. Do you know, like a mill, like a classical, mill.
Okay, sure, yeah,
Do you know what a
sure
mill
thing.
is? Like a mill is like whatever, like beside the lakes, and they have like that wheel that takes the water up,
Yeah,
and
I
like
know what a
yeah,
mill
it's a
is.
mill. Yeah, so if we're gonna go to
Okay.
Rumour Town, are we gonna go to the mill? Because Rumour Mill as a player. Stop me, just stop me. Just stop me. Oh, I have to open a window. It's getting hot in here.
Oh god, this is just great.
Okay, so what's happening in
Oh,
Rumour
anyway,
in
in
Rumour
Rumour
Town?
Town, yeah, the mayor of Rumour Town, DC Studios, or what WB Studios, should I say? There are more rumors coming out now. We've had rumors for the last couple of weeks on the Flash and on the Batman and
Mm-hmm.
which Batman and Batfleck and all the
Green
older Batmans
Lantern.
and Green Lantern's coming back, Ryan Reynolds coming back. There's just been rumors flying left, right, and center about what announcements are going to be made at DC Fandom.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait till after this event when they just clear all this shit up and we have to stop talking about rumors.
Yeah.
But one of the latest rumors, there was a rumor about last week or the week before about a Zatanna movie, which we didn't cover because there was just
Ugh.
there was nothing behind it. Like
Yeah.
it was just people saying, "Hey, they're making a Zatanna movie," and I was like, "Well, who's your source? No one."
Yeah. The
So
mayor of Rumour Town.
exactly, yeah, the mayor of Rumour Town. There's WB Studios, and there's about 4 like social media pages that are just
Mm-hmm.
like they just live in Rumour Time, and that's it. They don't talk about anything else. About like anything that's justified, anything where the Hollywood Reporter report on. They're like, no, that's too
Nah.
big. That's too serious for us. We want shit that no one else is talking about. So they just make shit up and throw it out there, and then WB are like, oh, that sounds good. Maybe we'll run with that.
Fair enough.
But
Hell
anyway,
yeah. Yeah.
so there was the information on the Zatanna movie that they were supposedly working on behind the scenes for a HBO Max, which very possibly could be true, but there
Mm-hmm.
was just no legit speculation behind, or no legit like people behind it saying
Yeah.
it could be happening. And now to add to it, we said we'd cover both of them at the one time. Now to add to it, there is rumors that so we know J.J. Abrams has signed a new deal with Warner Brothers, and he's producing a Justice League Dark film for HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that is actually happening. That's been announced and whatever. But now there's rumors that they're working on a Constantine film, which is either going to come before Justice League Dark or come after Justice League Dark, similar to Zatanna, where the rumor was that it was going to be a standalone film with her, and then it will link in with the Justice League Dark film.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's more rumors coming out that Mr. Keanu Reeves himself is in talks to come back and play Constantine again, and then be part of this Justice League Dark universe and Justice League Dark movies or whatever. There's absolutely like very, very little behind it, apart from like a couple of the same types of like Instagram pages and a couple of the same types of podcasts and stuff talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So like take this with the biggest grain of salt you possibly can take it with, because I do not see Keanu coming back to play Constantine. I'd be shocked if it happened. But we said we bring it up because like they're clearly working on something behind the scenes for Justice League Dark. Now, whether the rumors are right, where they're going to do a few standalones first and then have Justice League Dark and like an event thing, which is what they seem to be talking about in the rumors.
Yeah.
But like that, why would they not have said that they're going to build something towards Justice League Dark when they announced it? Whereas they just said he's working on a Justice League Dark project. So who knows what way they're going to do it? But what would you like to see Keanu come back?
Yeah, like again, I've always maintained that I think Constantine is like a good film. I actually really like it. It's really creepy and really weird, and like it's one of your really old classic like DC films from back in the day. The CGI is a little bit bogus and the story is a little bit contrived as well. But there's some like absolute moments of gold. Like some of the best kind of bits of that, or kind of cinematic bits of that time, like early DC, are in this film as well. Like there's a really good scene at the end when he meets like Lucifer right at the end, or meets the devil at the end, and it's just really fantastic. And the way it's shot is so creepy and like brilliant. And like I'd personally love to see something like this again. And I think like with someone like a JJ doing it as well, like again, if they were to go down that route and do an individual story or something along those lines, could be really good. The only thing is that I do think that if they were to bring it back, I'd nearly like a different interpretation of Constantine, which would be really hard to do with with him there, because he's already played Constantine a certain way as well. Because the only thing is
Yeah.
that I'd like it to be slightly less serious than what it was in terms of what like, and I know slight like. I don't want him quipping or anything along those lines as well. So like maybe there's not going to be too much of a departure to be able to kind of see anything. But if you go back and look at that film, the kind of issues with it is that it does take itself probably a little too seriously, but because of the
Mm.
nature and because of how scary it is and the weird creature effects and all that sort of stuff, it does need to take itself slightly serious. So it's kind of like if you pare it back ever so slightly, I think it could work. So as long as they have a proper direction of what they want to go with, I think having Keanu back would be great, because I don't know. I just think the character would actually suit him a little bit. And I know there's probably really good castings out there to get someone, new and fresh in there as well. But I think getting Keanu into a universe like this could be fantastic. And, I think he'd be all up for doing it again, potentially. Because he just seems like that type of guy who'd be kind of just down for it, and then he'd nearly sell it himself to anyone else. So yeah, like I don't know where you stand on this, but like I think he probably would go for it, and I think it'd be pretty good as well. So I don't know how you stand on it. Have you seen the first Constantine film?
No, I've actually I've strangely enough I've never watched Constantine. Like I've never seen that film.
Sacrilege. You should watch
I
it. I
know.
think you'd like it because it has the horror aspects. Like, and it is like
Yeah.
even if you go through and watch that, I know it's the final scene of the film, but like at the end of the day, it's not like the story's not massively complex or anything along those lines. But watch that
Yeah.
final scene with Constantine and the devil basically in that hospital, and it's actually very good. And I'd say after you finish that, you'd be like, all right, I'm going to watch this. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
really good, really really good.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wouldn't really mind either way if they went with
Mm.
him to go again. But it just seems like a strange choice to go back to someone that's played the role in a
Yeah,
different universe. Because like, would they attach the universe, or would they be rebooting it, or it's kind of
yeah.
a weird choice. Anyway, it's probably just people being like, "Hey, you're doing Constantine, why not take him back?" And then rumors
Hmm.
start everywhere. So I'd be surprised if JJ was someone coming in, because he's usually the kind of guy that likes to come in and do his own thing. So
Yeah.
it'd be weird if he came in and kind of like reboot or restarted it with the older type. But
Mm.
anyway, we will wait and see what happens with that. I'm sure we'll hear more about it at DC Fandom, like every rumor that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. But main topic time for the day. So the main thing that was coming up this week that we wanted to talk about is Batman is getting his own HBO Max show that he will not be a part of.
Oh, this
Yeah,
this sounds familiar. This
this does
sounds.
sound familiar. So, Lorcan, have you ever wanted to see a movie or a TV show centered on Gotham City before Batman?
Only if it's on the CW. Only strictly if it's on the CW and it has Jada Pinkett Smith in it, just for the first season or for the
No,
first and second season.
it was actually on FX. It wasn't on CW, but it was basically
Really?
the same thing.
Wow, it was such
Yeah.
a CW type show.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
exactly what the CW shows are. Yeah, it was
uh,
exactly that.
well, then just the Jada Pinkett Smith angle. That's all I want. I want her chewing up some scenery for like the first couple of seasons as well.
Oh my god, that
Um,
was the most frustrating character I've ever watched in a TV show. Was
do you not like
listening to
Fish
her
Mooney? Fish Mooney,
waffling on for
classic,
2 seasons. Oh, when they
classic.
killed her on that, yeah, I was so happy when they killed her. So
Well,
happy.
again, I really didn't. I didn't go back and watch too much of Gotham after that. But like, did she? I don't think she died after that. I think didn't she come back in a season? And then was it like in like a
Oh,
mental
they brought her
like
back from the dead years later or
yeah.
something. But she,
Oh
That
my
show
god.
was all kinds of crazy.
Like,
Like it was so crazy.
but I like how in the first season they set themselves out to be, no, we're super serious, and all these, they wouldn't even do Poison Ivy properly in the first season because they wanted to be so
Yeah.
realistic and gritty, and they had the whole thing about like after every episode there was going to be a new comedian in the club, and they were going to be like, is that the Joker? Is that the Joker?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they just went balls to the wall crazy in like the last couple of
Yeah.
seasons, and ended up doing two different versions of the Joker who were
Yeah. Same guy,
brothers and
but
stuff.
yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
but like in the same vein, do you know what? Like all things considered, and taken away from what that Gotham show was, I actually don't mind the idea of seeing like a procedural show based in Gotham, looking at like the GCPD, but only if it's done well. So only if you have really good characters. It's not like alluding to the fact that, oh, maybe a Batman will come out of nowhere for this, or like
yeah.
if they do a crime drama about the city and they really market it as in like this is like a mob story but with like slightly other weird elements that might happen in it, and they're just content with, we're going to leave it as this, you know what I mean, and maybe do it as a once off, not like a constant show that's going to go on for years. Because I think to a point, they're going to have to elaborate to the fact that a Batman comes in here, and that's where stuff will get weird and wrong. But if they committed to like maybe a 1 or 2 season run of this solid idea of how the
Mm,
mob have infiltrated the GCPD, and there's a young detective coming up, and it's Gordon, and how he tries to kind of, I suppose, clear out the mob from the GCPD. That could be really interesting and good. But like
yeah.
it completely boils down to who's writing it, who's directing it, who's starring in it, and what the overall vision and what the end date is. Because like
Mm,
it could just turn into Gotham, because we've
yeah.
basically had
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
show. So like there has to be something that distinguishes it.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
the thing that's the only thing, like if you had said like before Gotham came out
Mm,
that like HBO, because
mm,
this is basically what's happened, like HBO are doing a series based on Gotham City before
mm,
Batman, so it's a prequel series to the Batman movie, so it's going to be set before Batman even was there,
mm,
and it's going to be showing like how the crime and corruption in Gotham got to the situation that it's in by the
mm,
time you get to the movie. So it's going to show it like the underbelly and how it all started following the GCPD, and
mm.
it's got the writer of Boardwalk Empire and The Sopranos doing it, and it's on HBO. And
Yeah.
it's got Matt Reeves, who's directing the actual Batman movie, on as like one of the main producers. It was his idea to kind of run the show and everything.
Mm,
Like everything there sounds great because it's like you're creating this amazing world for Batman to roam around in when you get to the movies, but
mm,
there's so much going on in the background that you can't show in a movie. So it's like, let's take it back a step and let's get like some like award-winning writers and
mm.
and team behind it to come in and like actually show like a Sopranos type crime Gotham
Yeah.
City. Like that sounds amazing, but it's just the fact that we've got Gotham and we've seen how crap you can do a show like that if you don't do it right,
Yeah.
and also like that we haven't seen what standard a HBO Max show is yet. Like we know HBO. If you
Yeah.
do a HBO series, we know you're getting quality, regardless of whether you like that quality or not. You know it's going to be a quality show, and they're
Mm,
going to pump the money into it. Whereas with something like HBO Max, the streaming service, they're doing so much. Like there's so many properties that are being announced, and
mm.
like I just don't know. Is this going to be more on the lines of like a DC Universe type thing? Is this going to be more in lines with like a Titans show or
Ugh,
like a Doom
probably.
Patrol show, or is it going to legitimately be like a pump it in, get good writing, good talent, and do like a HBO style crime thriller show? Because if you do that, like I'm all in for it. Like I'm pumped and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Whereas like if it's not going to be at that level, it's kind of like, well, why are you doing like? And this is going to be nothing like the Gotham show. We know that because like it's Matt
Mm,
Reeves doing it. It's tied to his universe, so it's not going to be supernatural and crazy and all that kind of like. It's
yeah.
very grounded and real and gritty, which like I'm looking forward to. But at the same time, it's like what are you going to show? Like what, like Colin Farrell's Penguin, is he going to show up in it? Are you going to
Yeah.
have like his Cobblepot, we'll say, like as a crime lord, is he going to be in it? Because again, we've just seen that in Gotham. Is it going to
Mm,
be showing a young Jim Gordon? Because again, we watched like 5 or 6 seasons of that. I know it's going to be
mm.
told differently and everything, but it's kind of like it's not as fresh an idea as it could have been had it been done before that other
Mm.
travesty of a show that was done.
It's totally true.
um
Like, like it's just, yeah, like, it's it's a bit weird, like, because again, I think if Gotham didn't exist, this would be fantastic because it makes sense. But then
Mm,
the only issue for this is that it sits inside of a universe that it doesn't have full control of. So like all those shows like The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire, they were their own universe and they could do whatever they want in it. Whereas if you have
mm,
such linchpins in this, like Colin Farrell is the Penguin, he's a mob boss or something along those lines. Is he going to be in it? Is his ultimate fate going to be determined by the show? And it's not. It's going to be determined by the film. So like any stakes with him in it is going to be like obsolete because we know that nothing bad's going to happen to this version of the Penguin, or any sort of major set piece with him is probably going to happen in the film. So what's the point in having him in the show? So it's the only issue with it is that if they set this before the movies happen, which it looks like they'll probably do, then at least there's potential stakes as well. But like
mm.
yeah, like it could be good, and like as you said before, like it if it's HBO, I have that level of quality beside it. But as you mentioned before, it's HBO Max, so we don't really know, what the story is. So yeah, like it's kind of up in the air, and like I am excited and I will watch it, but like I'll probably tell from the first episode or not whether or not I'm probably going to get into this because I think all the big high stakes and the levels it can hit are completely like there's a ceiling on them because they're not going to be able to go past what the film's going to do with it. So it's just kind of bad in that regard. And unless they
Mm.
plan to end this show before the Matt Reeves Batman happens, then at least we know what happens to all these individual characters. So like if there
Mm.
is a certain mob boss who's who has issues, or all that sort of stuff, we know obviously Gordon's not going to get killed, or maybe Montoya, or some of those other ones, or Bullock. So
Yeah.
we know none of those are going to die. So like if there's any tension with the mob boss going to off any of these people, it's just gone. And like the thing that the Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire had was that not everyone is untouchable. Like they can kill off main
Yeah.
characters as well, whereas they can't do that in this show. So it automatically leaves that kind of ground that like, well, obviously this chief protagonist that we're following in Gordon isn't going to die. So like
Yeah. Yeah.
it takes away that kind of whole thing about like the Boardwalk Empire, where if you follow one of those characters, like one of the main characters in the show dies, and it's
Mm.
like really unceremoniously done, and it's fantastic, and it's a real gut punch. But like we know that if there's a character who's set up as a good character alongside Gordon in the start, that any sort of twist that were going to happen to Gordon in another show will probably happen to that person. So it'll be less of a
Mm.
kind of a thing. So yeah, like maybe that's just a real pessimistic or cynical way of looking at this as well. But like it could still be great. Like it could come out and do really good. But then again, the pessimistic side is that even if it does good, there's still a ceiling on it because they're gonna have to end it eventually. They're gonna like they can't get the story past with the Batman universe unless they're doing it concurrently with Batman. But then it
Mm.
just begs the question that anytime a major issue arises, then it'll be just like, well, where's Batman? Why isn't he here to deal with it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. And I guess like it's kind of I wonder which will come first. Like I wonder will they have the show like
yeah,
would they I guess like the Batman's coming out next summer, so they're not gonna have like they're not gonna film the entire show and have it by next summer.
mhm,
But I wonder will they try and like release it like very, very close to each other?
yeah,
Like when they can start shooting again, I wonder are they gonna go straight into production on this as soon as they can?
mhm,
Because like they haven't announced any casting, so I'm wondering will Jeffrey Wright actually be playing Gordon in it? Like will Gordon be a part of it, or
yeah,
will because I know John Turturro is playing Carmine Falcone, who's like obviously one of the
yeah,
major crime players in Gotham City. Like I wonder will he like a younger version of him be showing up in this series as well, or will he just not be in it? So you know, like what's his name? Peter Skarsgård is playing the commit or the mayor, I think, isn't he?
mhm. I think
So
so.
like,
Yeah,
will he still be the mayor in it, or will he be like a low down politician who's working his way up at the time? You know, like it
yeah,
would be cool to see the background of all these characters, but like you said, then they'd have to introduce really, really standout characters that
mhm,
won't be in the film, so we know that like, oh well, this guy could be topped at any time, or this like they have to have stakes in it because that's I
yeah,
think the thing with prequels so often that there's no stakes, which kind
mhm,
of like limits the opportunities they have. So yeah, like if done well, like they've got a great writer on who like Emmy award winning writer multiple
mhm,
times. They've got Matt Reeves who's obviously directing the Batman, who came up with the kind of idea for the show um and is involved heavily as a producer. So I mean, like it's exciting for sure, but
mhm.
I'd be a little bit more skeptical on it until we see footage and hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
But like I mean, it's Batman, so I mean. I never say no to more Batman
Same, yeah.
content.
See,
To
at
be
the end of
fair,
the day, I'm being more critical of it because it's Batman related, and like,
yeah,
I think any other property, I'll probably be like, yeah, whatever. But like, I'm probably being a little bit more kind of guarded about my opinions on it, or maybe have it on a higher pedestal as what it can do, because it's Batman. So yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Class.
Good,
And
good.
actually, we'll finish up with some video game news in the world of the Batman as well. Slightly in the world of Batman, but WB Games. So AT&T are the big overlords over at Warner Brothers. So they own Warner Brothers and everything to do movies, TV shows, gaming, everything to do
Mhm.
WB. They own, and now they are in a strange move, looking to sell off the games division. So basically, Warner Brothers Games, which
Mm.
WB Games, like they own so many studios, like they own WB Games Montreal, which done the Batman Arkham Origins game and are currently working on a new Batman game, which is yet unannounced, but will absolutely be
Mhm.
announced at the new studio. They own Monolith Games, which done the Lord of the Rings games,
Yeah.
and the Shadow of Mordor, those games. They own Rocksteady, which done the original Batman Arkham trilogy.
Yeah.
They own NetherRealm, which owns Mortal Kombat. Like there's all the Mortal Kombat games and the Injustice games, like
Mm.
huge studio and huge games. So they own all those studios, just for an example. So they're looking to
Mm.
sell the games division of their of WB. So it's not really been announced yet whether or not selling them will mean that their IPs will go with them. Like if they sell
Yeah.
Rocksteady, it's not been formally announced yet. If like that means that whoever buys Rocksteady will also now be making the Batman games. But at the same time, like Rocksteady Studio, for example, have only really done Batman games up
Mhm.
to this point. So it'd be weird for someone to even want to buy them unless they could buy
Yeah.
the Batman gaming rights to do those games. Because if not, you're just gonna have to create a whole new IP and whatever. So
Yeah.
it's a
Totally.
strange choice.
Yeah, because like I'm kind of on the same page as well. Like the only reason that you'd buy these studios is to buy the IPs along with the studios. But it's kind
Mm,
of weird in that like the IPs for some of these they're movie IPs, so they're licensed from the films from Warner Brothers. So Lord of the Rings, Batman. I'm not sure about Mortal Kombat because that would have been a game beforehand. I know there is films
mm,
to it as well, but like the issue there is that like I wonder, like say if you bought like a Naughty God or a Naughty Dog, their IPs obviously would come with you there as well. So you'd get the Uncharted, you get Crash Bandicoot and Jack and Dexter, and The Last of Us as well. But I think if you buy Rocksteady, Batman Arkham, yeah, is probably their IP, but they don't own Batman. So I think if you bought Rocksteady, I don't think you could just make a Batman game. You could probably finish the game that they currently have. So it seems
mm,
weird then in that regard that the kind of backlog of games that these studios have are IPs directly attached to Warner Brothers, so they probably wouldn't have rights to them. So in that
yeah.
regard, if you were to buy, Rocksteady or Monolith or NetherRealm, who are all very talented studios, would you
Mm,
not just poach the talent from them instead and use the talent from it as well? Because if you can't use any of their IPs, maybe outside of
yeah.
Mortal Kombat, why wouldn't you just poach the talent rather than
Mm,
buy the studio? So yeah, it's definitely a strange move, and it'd be weird as to why people would buy them. And I probably need to get some sort of like, I'm sure there'll be videos online that will explain that, oh, because they've done this property, then they probably do have some sort of rights to it. But I can't imagine, like, imagine if like a Disney studio bought one of these and started making
yeah.
games as well. Like imagine Disney being in control of a Batman game. It just won't happen. So like
Yeah.
I
It
feel
just
like
doesn't make
those
sense. Yeah.
licenses, yeah, will probably stay with Warner Brothers, which is
Yeah.
a weird move then. But like
Or even yeah, like
interesting.
what could end up happening is that whoever will say there's whichever company buys like WB Game Studios will essentially more than likely end up buying all the studios in one go. But
Mm,
what could end up happening is that they buy them and essentially then WB like license out the rights to
yeah.
make a Batman game to the studio. So like what essentially it would do for AT&T is that they're not spending as much money on games development, and
Yeah.
it's more just like, hey, we own Batman, so if you want to make a Batman game, pay us the money.
Yeah.
Like we will pay you to make the Batman game, but you also pay us to like have the rights to like make a Batman game, whatever. So it's
Yeah.
just less. I mean, I guess it's less cash
Hmm.
overflow for AT&T and less of a risk than it is having like
Hmm.
employing your own entire studio. Like I wonder if it's a strange choice to sell them because like these are all very popular franchises.
True.
So I
Yeah.
wonder if it's a case of like, are they losing money somewhere else in the studio and they're like, oh well, we just need to sell
Hmm.
something, so we're going to sell the games division,
Hmm.
or is it a case that like these studios have been losing money? But it just seems strange because like all the games we talked about have been very, very successful games
I think there
over the
is
last couple of
just
years. So it's a strange choice.
I think there's just a risk factor as well that they're like, and like I know films is a big risk factor as well, but like gaming cycles can be like, 8 to 10 years nearly as well. And if the game just underperforms or doesn't perform, then you just whatever lose, you just take a giant hit on it as well. And
Mm.
like maybe it's just a risk that they're not willing to take anymore, especially not with multiple studios. Which
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
seems like a weird one because the Batman games in particular as well, like they're aware that this that this will make money as well. But it could be something to do with maybe even the new hardware that's coming up, the changing face of gaming as well. Like the idea that the majority of money is made in online and these big online
yeah,
things, and they're not. I suppose they're not willing to have the investment out. And as you said before, maybe some accountants in the background have just come to the conclusion that like, listen, we'll make probably 60% less, but we won't do any additional work for it if we just license out the names of the titles. And,
yeah,
and then if we manage to get some sort of deal on a merchandise moving forward with it, or some sort of other deal that's like, you know, if it becomes like an online phenomenon that we take a percentage off the top or something along those lines.
yeah,
I'm sure it's just one of those moves. However, it
yeah.
just seems that when someone's buying this, I know there's rumors out there that there's EA
Mm.
Sport or EA
Yeah,
Games or
we hit them
Activision
now. Yeah,
Blizzard. But no, it seems to me that the only people who would, I suppose, benefit from buying these studios would be the gaming platforms themselves. So your Microsofts or your Sonys would be the ones who
mm.
benefit from this. So then they could have exclusivity on the games. Like if you
Yeah,
had, the only platform that could have the new Batman game on it, that'd certainly be a big win in like a new console
yeah.
war as well. So like they're the ones that I feel it would make the most sense to go in and buy this game rather than other existing studios. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And here, so there at the minute, there, as far as we know, there's four major studios that are
Hmm.
interested in the deal of buying these studios. So we have
Hmm.
Take Two Entertainment, which own Rockstar Games, which basically like do all the Red Dead's, like the and GTA franchise, which is essentially their only two at the minute that's ongoing. Um, so we've Take Two that are one of the first interested. EA Games are obviously interested because they're
Oof.
just the powerhouse in gaming in terms of like the money that they have, and
Hmm.
that would be literally the worst move.
Yeah,
Like I would
definitely.
hate if AA got it because they just turned it into a money train somehow.
Yeah.
It'd be awful. Activision Blizzard, which do like they've done the Black Ops COD games, they've done Sekiro, Overwatch, Diablo. So they've got some good
Hmm.
they've got some like a good gaming setup as well. And in the last one, which like you mentioned, Microsoft Games
Yeah.
himself, which like unfortunately Microsoft would be the studio that I think would do the best jobs in terms of taking it and doing good, like making good games and taking care of the studios, because like you
Hmm.
said, they actually are a platform themselves. Like they're the console, so they'd want
Yeah.
the best for that. But at the same time, if Microsoft get it, there is like they're not going to do like they wouldn't put Mortal Kombat as an exclusive because too many
Yeah.
people play it. That'd be like a cross-platform. Same with Injustice.
Hmm.
But something like a Batman Arkham franchise, like that would be similar to Sony getting Spider-Man. Like that would be a huge
Yeah.
get for them to put like for their new console coming out, or like within a year of the new console, if they were fit to say the Batman games are going to be exclusive on Xbox, like that
Yeah.
would be heartbreaking. But like
Same.
it would make huge sense for them in terms of
Hmm.
like consider both of us are Sony, both of us are PS4, PS5 gamers. Like, I would absolutely get an Xbox
Yeah.
as well as a PlayStation
Totally. Same.
if they released like if they released the Batman games as exclusive on Xbox. Like that's how much of a win it would be for them in terms of like getting people to play their platform.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I kind of hope
it's
it doesn't go that direction, but like
yeah.
it definitely could. Like.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see like where it goes going forward and what way it works, because like like we said, in terms of like they buy the studios, who gets the rights and whatever.
Mhm.
It just seems strange in this kind of time where everybody's just buying up other studios that AT&T would be like, because you'd assume that like, hey, we have all the right, like we have Lord of the Rings, we have Harry Potter, we have
Yeah.
Batman, we have all these franchises. Like
Oh, the Harry
you've
Potter
so
game as well. Like that'll be announced soon as
yeah,
well. Like
that's
all the leakages happened as well. Like that's a huge one. Like that's
yeah.
massive.
Like it just seems like a
Mm.
strange thing to be selling such a big
Yeah.
lucrative set of studios, like this seems like the kind of thing that like you said, like Disney obviously aren't going to buy it, but these
Mm.
are the kind of studios that like Disney were gobbling up for the last couple of years. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a successful studio, we will buy you and take you under our umbrella. So it seems weird that AT&T that already have this huge umbrella would be like, oh, we don't want this studio anymore, we're going to get rid of them.
Oof.
So whatever's going on behind the scenes, it's a bit of a it's a
Yeah.
surprising move for them. But also, like, it's apparently been sold for like between $2 and $4 billion, which is just
Oof.
ludicrous money.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
I nearly thought it'd be more than that, but like because it's multiple
Yeah.
studios, but like there's just overheads I'd say with it as well. So you take it on, but you also take on potential debt and salaries and that type of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that is most of the news for today. So let's finish up with some random recommendations.
But that was beautiful, beautiful voice.
It
It
was
just
right.
cuts straight in. I love
That's also a cut and paste job.
it. Nice.
Have you been watching, playing, doing anything this
Yeah,
week?
I've been doing loads of stuff. So immediately after we started, or we finished The Last of Us 2 last week, I jumped on. I started playing Control, which is a game from
Did
Remedy
you start
Studios.
playing it? Yeah.
I started playing Control, yeah. So Control came out earlier on this year, I think, as well, or maybe just at the very end of last year as well. But it was one of those games that a lot of games came out around the same time, so I never got a chance to go to it. But they're the same studio who made Max Payne. They made Alan Wake. Like they make really interesting, weird games that are kind of horror inspired and do really interesting physics things. So I don't know if you know this game or I've seen a trailer for it. Like
Yeah, yeah, no, I
it's
have it.
set.
I have it in my I have it download. I don't have it downloaded, but I have it
Ah,
in my downloads on PS4. So
yeah,
I'm
I was about to
planning
say
on playing it.
I think you'd love it as well. It's a third person shooter. It's a weird setting. It's based in this building. It's the Bureau of Control. It's called the Oldest House, but there's like some sort of supernatural thing that's happening to the place, and it's all very creepy. Like the initial kind of whatever half an hour that you play at the very start, it just sets the scene of the tone of it, and there's floating bodies in the skies and these chants that are going around. It's super creepy and off-putting, and the story is just so strange, and you will get lost all the way until the end. And even at the end, it might be like, what actually happened in this game as well. But the
Yeah,
actual physics, the powers in it, because basically over the course of the game, uh, the main character develops powers of like flight and telekinesis and all this sort of stuff, and it's so interesting. But like the game itself and the story is just bonkers and a bit weird, and probably is a bit off-putting for a lot of people. But the fighting
mm,
mechanics, the way it plays, the way the kind of atmosphere of the building kind of plays a role in the story is fantastic. Um, I think if anyone's played a Remedy game before, they'll probably understand how weird they are. Like Alan Wake is such a strange game as well. That's really good and
yeah,
horror inspired. And then there's the Max Payne games that I'm sure everyone loves, and they have the bullet time functions in those games, which used to be insanely fun. There's aspects of all of that that run through this game, and it's just a really good fun time. And like personally, I think you'd love it, Keith. Like just purely because of the
mm,
setting and the mechanics, I think you'll have a great time playing this game. It's just
yeah,
so strange. I think you have to get past how strange the story is, and if you just start to kind of go right, do you know what? The story is one thing, but like I don't really care. It's kind of all about the gameplay and the way it kind of runs and focuses and stuff. That
yeah,
saying, like I did enjoy the story. It's just it's a mess, and I couldn't say to anyone that the story is the best part of it. But like the thing is, I think they know it's a mess, and it's played off the fact that it's they don't give you answers, and apparently that's a big thing with the studio. Like I do remember Alan Wake being really obscure, and the actual takeaway from it was really high level, super philosophy, big brain thinking. But like
mm,
it did have a story that wrapped up, and in the end, I'm like, oh, I kind of get what they were going for. But at the end of this game, I'm like, oh, like who was that person? Like I still don't even understand why I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, and I
yeah, yeah,
finished the game, but yeah, it's certainly like I definitely recommend it. I don't want to talk too much about it because there is spoilers,
yeah.
and
How
you know
long? How long roughly was gameplay?
Oh, very short. Like like if you just streamline the main quest is what well the game kind of forces you to go that direction because you start to unlock
Mm,
powers to see more and more of the building. But if you
yeah.
streamline the actual game, it's probably only like 15 hours if even 15
Okay,
hours.
that's
But
fine.
there's
Yeah.
loads of side quests and the game has really good side quests as well and really
Mm,
unique bosses and that type of thing. So you can play for like up to 30 hours easy and
yeah.
kind of do all the things and find all the treasures and get all the trophies. But like it's definitely fun, but like it's a breezy time, and the game's not that difficult either. Like
Yeah.
as the game goes along, like the character becomes more and more powerful, and the enemy types. There's new ones introduced that are strong, but like those base enemies are still there, so they just
Yeah.
become even easier to beat as time goes on. But I think that shows how your character becomes stronger over time. So it does play into the overall themes and the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, like listen, good time, and I definitely recommend it.
Sweet, yeah. I must actually finish
Mm.
the download now because I had it downloading just before The Last of Us came out, and I was like, oh, I can't
Mm.
download both at the same time because I
It's
don't have the
true.
space because Last of Us is huge. So yeah, I'll definitely get to that next.
It's definitely worth it.
In terms of myself, in terms of random recommendations, I
Hmm.
started watching Gangs of London this week, which I've been
Oh,
just mad to watch for so long.
is it
Um,
good?
yeah, so I've only watched the first episode. The first episode is about an hour and a half.
Hmm.
But it's so Gangs of London for anyone that hasn't seen it. I think it aired on Sky Atlantic.
Yeah.
And it's mostly all out now. But it's Gareth Evans. It's the guy. He's a Welsh filmmaker, but he done both the
Hmm.
Raid films. And so like when the trailer came out for this ages ago, I was absolutely buzzing for it because
Hmm.
the like you can instantly see the action and everything behind it just looks just like top notch. It's so good. It's like he took the action from the Raid but put it into like a London setting.
Yeah.
And there's one or two shots in the first episode, the hour and a half episode, where there's a character and I can't remember. I think his name is Elliot, but the guy that's playing him, I've never seen him before. His name's Sope
Hmm.
Soft Derushu or something. I haven't seen him in anything else before, but he's just class in this. He's like a young, not a young, but he's like someone that's trying to get higher up within the gang that they're a
Hmm.
part of. And he just goes on this manhunt for someone and he just tears through people in the coolest way. Like it's very good, visceral, and like bloody action for a Sky Atlantic show, you know. Um, but it's great though. It's got the what's his name? I think his name is Joe Cole. That was in
Hmm.
Peaky Blinders.
Oh.
He's the lead in it, which you would have seen from the trailers and stuff. And Colomini was the dad. So the way it starts off is Colomini is this like head of a gang, like this huge
Hmm.
gang in London. He's an Irish gangman, and he is basically killed in the first episode.
Hmm.
And so it's his son kind of taking the reins and kind of trying to figure out who it was that killed him, because obviously they're like the main gang, and then there's loads of other gangs kind of working alongside them. It's this kind of like hyper realistic gangland of London, underground gang. Um, but it's really interesting. Like the so far from what I've seen, like the action and stuff, like I said, is amazing. But the actual setup and the world building and stuff is really cool in the sense that
Hmm.
like there's similar to the John Wick franchise, like there's a lot of places they could go with it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to watching the next couple of episodes. Now I think there's 8 altogether, and they're about less than an hour each after that first episode. First one's just a bit longer than the rest of them.
Nice.
But if you're a fan of action, you're a fan of like crime thrillers and stuff, I think this has a bit of everything for you. And
Hmm.
I got pretty good reviews as well. So
Yeah, like
um,
it's certainly doing well, and I think it's going to get a second season anyway as well. I wasn't aware
yeah,
it was from the director of the Raid. I'm definitely more interested
yeah,
in it now after hearing that. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I think I'll
absolutely.
give it a go because it wasn't really on my radar. It kind of seemed like another Peaky Blinders esque type of show, and I'm like, I still need to finish Peaky Blinders,
Yeah,
so
but
I
there's
didn't
parts
really
of it like
prioritize it.
yeah, I definitely recommend
Mm.
like finishing Peaky Blinders. It's definitely worth it. But
Mm.
in this, like, there's parts of it like he's so good at setting up like fight sequences. Like,
Mm.
there's a big long one take where it starts in a bar, where this guy that I was telling you about starts in a bar and ends up like going out from the back of the bar through like the alleyways, the streets, and
Yeah.
chasing this guy, and it's just done so well. But then towards the end of it as well, there's like a big kind of one-on-one where he's fighting this brute character, and
Mm.
it's like watching a video game, like in the sense of like this is how you'd shoot a fight scene in a video game. Like there's parts, and it's so Raid-esque in a good way, where
Yeah.
like they're whipping out like machetes and stuff, like things that you'd never see in like a London crime thriller, where you're just like, this is just you're getting like the perfect middle ground between these two like franchise, or these two like types of films that I love. So yeah, definitely recommend it.
Sweet.
Definitely. And if
Um,
you like, you have to be well into like a bit of blood and gore and cuts and stuff. So if you can't watch someone getting like cut up, then maybe
yeah.
it's not the show for you.
Have you finished watching season 2 of the Harley Quinn show?
I haven't even started season 2 yet. I'm
Oh,
mad to get into it though.
it's good.
Have
It's
you
good.
have you watched season 2?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I blitzed through it early last week, or last weekend, I think as well. I think I might have started it just before the podcast last weekend, but
yeah,
yeah, it's great. It's actually, I think the second season is better than the first season, and
yeah.
yeah, like I just like again, I think the comedy in this show is just second to none. I think it's so fantastic. I think the writing in it's really good. There's some really kind of fun little digs in it like the whole way through as well. Like there's an episode that starts with two fanboys on a couch, basically like college stoners, and one of them has like released the Snyder cut on a jumper, and he's talking about
Yeah.
he's talking about how the show is like social justice warrior and like millennial
Mm.
snowflake crap and all this sort of stuff, because how does Harley kill the Joker and all this sort of stuff, and it was like, oh, and her with her female empowerment friends and all this sort of stuff, but he's like really ridicule at the start, and the episode then that follows it basically is just that, oh, can we watch this new episode, and it's like, it actually doesn't have Harley in it, it's about Batman coming back and like
Mm.
nursing himself back to health. And like, I forgot how much I loved Gordon and Batman in this. Like,
Yeah,
they're
the
just
relationship
very,
they have
yeah.
is so good.
I told you about it last week. The Batman universe storyline in the comics as well, the one I was
Yeah,
reading,
yeah,
and I think this Batman is very similar to that Batman in the comics, where like he's still super competent, he's still a really good Batman, it's all this sort of stuff, but his comedy and his level of fun in it is just hilarious, and
yeah,
the relationship he has with Alfred is so funny. So
yeah.
yeah.
I'll try and watch as much of it as I can by next week, and maybe next week we can do like a bit of a spoiler chat on it.
Yeah,
So
totally. Like, it's worth it. I could definitely talk for ages about it, because like there's some really good parts in it that I don't want to spoil for
yeah,
you,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like still very, very good. Yeah.
yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Sweet. Well, yeah, that brings us to the end of another episode, guys. We hope you enjoyed.
Hmm.
If you're watching on YouTube, give it a like, subscribe, maybe share it with someone, all that kind of good stuff.
You definitely have to put this at the start moving forward. And I thought about it
Mm.
midweek as well. I was just like, oh yeah, I better just remind Keith to put it right at the beginning. And as soon as you said it there, I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I forget every time. I'm gonna cut that part out and just edit it to the very start of the video.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, follow us on socials and all that good stuff as well, I guess. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah, bye, Jamie. Just wash your hands. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, of course. Yes, wash your hands. And wear a feckin' mask.
Yeah, wear masks.
Jesus Christ, people. It's
God.
such an easy thing.
Yeah.
Put on a mask. Anyway, Jamie, wear a mask. See ya.
Bye.